All right, so today we've got our piece made and we're going to practice using resist techniques to create areas of black underglaze where we'll selectively add sgraffito to our piece. So first you need a just slightly more dry than leather hard piece. It could be any type of ceramic piece that's not fired. All right, so you can tell that mine is at the right stage because it's definitely no longer picking up any fingerprints, but it hasn't quite turned to the chalky stage yet, so it's not gotten to the bone dry stage just yet. All right, so I'm gonna set that aside for a moment. Okay, so I've got a bunch of shapes that I've cut out on the interior of pieces of paper. You want them to be closer to this one and not like this with so much excess on the outside, and you'll see why in a moment. You can just cut it off if you have excess. To achieve these, I just took a piece of paper, got a pen or a pencil, and traced whatever symmetrical shape I wanted. So this is just a cap from around my house. If you wanted a different shape, you could trace a different shape or freehand cut a different shape. All right, so I've got my circle, and now I'm gonna kind of look at it against my window a bit, and I'm gonna try folding it so that the two sides end up directly on top of each other symmetrically. Okay, so you can see that I've managed to like fold it so that it's on its exact line of symmetry. And then I'm gonna cut that out. And then I'm just going to be keeping this part. So that's how you create those. It's really quite easy. You can use anything to create them. They don't have to be circles. You could create almost any shape by folding the paper whichever way you'd want to. So let's say that I was starting off with this and I wanted to do something that was based on a circle. So I'm folding that in half again. I could actually fold it again and be like, okay, I don't want a circle, but I want something that's like similar to a circle based off of a circle. So you could create like anything by folding some paper and just creating a template. So I just folded that once and then twice, and then I cut into it. So you can have a lot of fun with it and come up with some really cool organic shapes, really cool geometric shapes. You can get anything that you want, and then you're just going to want to cut around them so that there's not quite so much excess flapping in the breeze, but it is going to be enough to block out around so that you can use it with our resist technique. So there are options, but I'm doing circles. I'm keeping it simple today. So what I'll do, I'm gonna set down a little piece of cardboard underneath my station so that I don't get glue all over my table. So I'm gonna take one of my pieces, and I'm just gonna get any old glue stick, just a normal glue stick, and glue stick it up pretty nice and good. You don't want there to be any like big chunks, so rub them in if you got big chunks. Okay, I'm gonna do a couple of them before we move forward. So I've got a couple that are different sizes. If you have any hole punchers, you could do some small ones, which is how I got this really little one. I think I got the mid-sized one that I have here using this hole punch. So if you've got hole punches, if you've got that kind of thing, you can always use hole punches instead of doing it the way that I just showed you. All right, so I've got a couple to start with, and let me get a small one because I think I might want to vary my sizes a bit. I'm cutting off that extra. I don't want to have a ton of extra hanging around, but I do want enough that it will block out and serve as a resist, which will make more sense in just a moment. Okay, so I'm going to pull over my teapot. Now you want your teapot to be fully smooth, so you don't want to still be smoothing. And you're going to just take those and you're going to decide on a placement, and you're just going to stick it on. So I'm looking at this side and I'm thinking I'm going to have it kind of up on the shoulder, and I'm just literally pressing this glued thing on. And because my form is rounded, it kind of wants to pop up. That's okay if it pops up as long as it makes a tight seal around the area where you're going to do your resist. So that's where I'm starting, and I like it. I'm going to put on another small one so that I can do 2 at once. If it doesn't want to stick, you might need to add some more glue, which I definitely do. And now I'm just getting it all over my table, as is my way of being just a big clay disaster. All right, so here we go. And sticking that on. And we're in business. It is sticking. Want to make sure that all of your sides just don't have a place where your underglaze can leak out. That's the thing you want to avoid. So here we are, like this. And now you're going to take whatever color of underglaze you're using. You don't have to use black. I've got this black one here, just standard underglaze. And you're going to go ahead and paint 3 good coats on there. And consider the direction of the mark making, because sometimes your marks, like the direction that you're painting, ends up showing up. So if I do my first coat like horizontally, I might do my second coat vertically, and then my third coat horizontally again. And you don't want there to be like big chunky layers in the drying. You want everything to be the same thickness. You don't want variable thickness, because then it'll show up. And so that's what I've got so far. I'm gonna paint on 3 coats. It's important that it be allowed to dry a little bit in between coats. I'm just gonna glop it on really thick for the purposes of this tutorial, but please understand that it's not gonna make me perfect lines. So this top one, my piece is already fairly dry. That one's already actually kind of sucked it in, but the second coat never absorbs quite as quickly. So once again, I'm painting on a good coat, making sure I come all the way to the corners. And my bottom one has already sunk in, so I'm in business for the second coat, but I bet the third coat's gonna take a little while. If your piece is wetter than mine, if it's not started turning chalky yet, you should definitely blow dry in between your coats. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and come back once I've got all 3 coats on the whole piece everywhere, and then I'll show you how to pull them off and carve.